Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the CPC. I call the meeting to order at 7:04. First item on the agenda is an update on the town rail project. Grant, can you bring Caitlin and Bill Cundiff over?
Yes.
Thank you. And we have Select Board Chair Andrew Dennington here as well. Andrew, you are just going to let Bill speak to it initially?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in as
Okay.
necessary to build the most knowledge.
Okay, so if you can either sit there, or if you want to talk, you're welcome to come and sit there. Is Bill, are they over?
I believe so.
All right. Good evening, Bill. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome. Thank you for coming
I don't know why I
tonight.
don't have video.
You don't have video. We can't see you, though.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we'll let you go ahead and just kind of update us on what's going on. What's the latest on the...
Sure thing. So we, as you may recall, we had VHB prepare some bid documents for the town common rail project. They did so, and we asked them to give us a price estimate for that too, and they came in with an estimate that was well above what we were initially expecting for the cost to be. Nearly double, in fact. So we took a step back, we asked them to value engineer it down, and in addition to that, we asked them to modify the bid documents so that we have a base project, and then we have two add alternates on top of the base project. So basically, the base project would be simple painting and restoring things that are existing. The bid alternate one would be to add fixtures and bolts, and bid alternate two would be to replace granite posts as well as provide new sections of railing where we need it. So depending on which scenario comes within our budget is the one we're hoping to go forward with. So currently, we have the bid documents out. They are being advertised, I think, in the next week. Caitlin's putting that together, and then from there, we're going to, in about a month, we're going to get the bids in, and we'll have a better idea on which way we can afford to head.
Okay. Bill, let me ask you this, and I don't have it in front of me. I probably should have brought it. So with the bids coming in higher, how does this change the description in any way? Is everything still going to be done that town meeting approved with the funds? Or with the bid alts, does that possibly change the scope of the project?
The scope will be driven by the value of the funding we have versus the bids that come in. We're hopeful that bids will come in low. Bids have, my understanding from talking to VHB, they've been trending down slightly. So I'm not sure if that's a result of what's going on worldwide or not, but that's what they've indicated. And the combination of that and then breaking it into the alternatives, we're going to get a restoration project. It's just what level of restoration we're talking about. That's the variable.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can pull up the warrant article. I just want to make sure that we're still falling in line with, if it's lesser of a project, I want to make sure we're still falling in line with what the taxpayers thought that they were getting. So we'll just go down the line here and see if there's any other comments or questions. Kristen?
That's exactly my question. Just
Okay.
It sounds a little bit like there's wiggle room, and is that wiggle room really there? Just making sure.
Okay.
Yep, nothing from me.
Grant?
Yeah, same for me. If I recall correctly, I believe, the granite post restoration was in there, so I guess that would be a concern that if you just go with painting, that it might not be properly restored or that kind of thing.
Okay, that's my concern as well. Claire, any comments or thoughts?
No, I'm just having, it might be my sound. I'm just having a hard time.
No, Claire,
The sound is,
my microphone wasn't close.
oh, okay, thank you. Well, no, it wasn't just you. I guess if everybody could maybe speak just a little louder. I'm trying to figure out why I can't adjust it.
No, I think it's just our microphone placement.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
and I
Okay.
initially didn't have the microphone up by me either, Claire, I forgot.
Oh,
to bring it
okay.
up, So,
All right. Thanks, guys.
all right. Ellen?
Um, so my only question is kind of what is the plan if, you know, the bids don't come in low enough and there's only a portion of the project that's able to be accomplished, with the amount that was allocated from town meeting? Is it, you know, kind of going back to town meeting to talk about doing a smaller project? Is it seeking funds to kind of make up the difference? What's kind of the next step?
No, I think the constraint at this point is going to be the schedule. So I think it boils down to a matter of we're going to get the bids in. We'll present what we have, make sure it's consistent with what the town meeting vote was, which, you know, no one wants to deviate from that. And once we get to that threshold, we'll make a determination on whether or not we want to award one of those three options that we have out. If none of them come in under our budget capacity, I would defer to the select board, you know, Andrew's and Kevin's direction, but I would think that we couldn't proceed at that point. But if they come in low, and those three options that we have out to bid satisfy the town meeting vote, then I'd make a recommendation that we proceed and move forward with it.
Okay, Bill, when do you expect, did you say, I know, and I should have written it down, when did you expect them to go out to bid?
I think in the next week, Caitlin can probably answer that better than I can.
Yep, I'm on, Bill. I can jump in. We're gonna have the bid package available on April 1st next week, and then bids will be due on the 22nd.
Okay. Due on 22nd. Okay. So, Bill, I would just ask that once you get the bids in and you start to go through them before they're awarded, if you would even come to our next meeting and update us as well as to where things stand. And what I'll do is I'll pull up the warrant article. It was from annual town meeting last year. I'll pull it up just so we make sure that it stays consistent with, you know, what the voters supported at town meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, is Kevin on? I didn't know if Kevin wanted to add anything, if you could bring him over. Kevin, if you have anything that you'd like to add to that? And Freddie, I'll come to you too.
He is joining as a panelist now.
Okay. So Bill, while we're waiting, so what is the estimated time frame? Say the bids come in and it's perfect, there's no issue, and the bids are awarded. When do you anticipate the work being done?
The way we have the contract documents structured is they'll have to be done this calendar year.
It will be, okay, okay.
Yep.
Is Kevin over?
I think so.
Okay. Good evening, Kevin. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to what's been said? Yeah, I know.
Maybe.
No, okay.
Yeah,
Andrew, did you want to add anything? Okay, so is everybody satisfied with that plan? We'll continue to move forward. Bill will update us, and I'll forward over to him the warrant article, just so we can make sure. Freddie, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. That's it.
Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thank you
Have
so
a good
much,
night.
Bill.
Thank you.
Caitlin, thank you for coming. Andrew, thank you for coming as
Did-
well.
Lisa, did you want me to stick around for the other item?
No, so the other, for the golf course irrigation, no, that's just us, Bill, going through it. We're not having any applicants come. This is just
Okay.
an internal discussion, so we can have our questions ready to forward to you prior to our meeting in May, when we'll hope you'll come and we'll start the process on that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
again,
Thank
Andrew.
Thank
Okay. Next up, update of Audubon International Project. This is one of the projects outstanding that's on the list. I know it goes back quite a ways. It had a lot to Freddie. I don't know how far you're going to delve into it, but Okay, so this goes back to when the discussion of purchasing the golf course came up, and it was one of the, I don't want to call it a concession, because I think it's a great thing that was added to have the golf course comply with Audubon International standards. It's very prestigious, it's good for the golf course. It was an open space golf course
Committee.
committee.
I can give it a
Okay,
little overview.
I'll just jump back now. So Freddie's got her open space hat on now.
That's why I moved. So I'm Freddie Gillespie, Chair of the Open Space Preservation Commission, and I have been on the commission and actually authored with the Golf Course Committee this warrant article. I should step back. I don't even know if there was an actual Golf Course Committee at the time.
Yeah, there probably wasn't.
But we worked with the golf course management and the town officials to come up with this. It's a project to manage the to create a management plan and then manage the golf course in the most ecologically, environmentally beneficial way possible. And it came out because after we bought the land, there was no plan to keep the golf course on there. It wasn't a requirement of the purchase of the land. Public safety and the land to be a conservation restriction on the property that would allow golf. So then we had to create the conservation restriction, we had a committee to do that, as well as then we needed funding to move the holes, because some of the holes were under the new public safety building and they had to be reconfigured. And this whole project was a little bit diverse positions on what should be done there, and really what led to this was, at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of open space advocates supporting golf. It had been seen as heavy use of the land, high chemicals, and our Open Space Commission, early on decided we did support it, we saw the value, and in fact, we were only the second community in the Commonwealth that ever put a conservation restriction on a golf course, because land trust didn't see the value of having a conservation, preserving golf courses under their purview. And that has since changed because it's open space, it can be managed environmentally correct, and it's a beautiful course. So we totally support that, but it was sort of a, make the open space advocates be happy to spend money on a golf course, and then actually to make the golf course be more prestigious. In fact, I just heard the other day that in their postings, or I don't know, the National Golf Course Association, they are listed as being part of the Audubon International Classic Program, which is a prestigious designation. Although we're not there yet, but the goal is to be working towards it. So where are we? We need this management plan. And over the years, we've hit some hiccups. I am currently working with a conservation agent, Melissa Danza, to draft an RFP that will then go to the Open Space Commission, Preservation Commission, and the Golf Course Committee for their approval, and then sending it out. I envision the work can start before the end of April if things go well, because I've already got all of the work that needs to go into this RFP, and then just need approval. Like I said, there have been some hiccups over the years, but the Open Space Preservation Commission has never stopped trying to move this project forward. So our commitment to this project has been steadfast. I don't need to go into details, but I have positive expectations for this to move forward finally, because I attended a golf committee meeting on March 10th, and they appointed a new liaison to work with the Open Space Preservation Commission to work on this and move it forward. So that is good expectations, positive energy. I will give an update on the progress at the May CPC meeting with more details. I don't think there's any value in going to what happened and where we are now. We want to move forward, and I have expectations that this can be done, and we will get it across the finish line to get the management plan started, and then that will take time. It involves lots of partners, wildlife habitat, golf experts, water, and hiring the right company that knows golf. Because the goal of this is never to, it's, Audubon International is basically a golf organization. They are promoting golf, and they knew that golf courses had somewhat of a bad rap environmentally. The big, I'm talking about the big ones, and they wanted to try to change that image and encourage people to manage courses better. What chemicals you're using are monitored, any impacts to water resources. So it's a feel-good thing, and it's not at all a hammer on the golf course management. It is working together, and also most of the stuff is stuff you legally have to do anyhow under like the Wetlands Protection Act, and but it's a really feel-good type of a project that could benefit us all. So that's it.
Awesome. So we did invite the golf committee to come tonight, and I didn't hear back. So we'll reach out to them. We'll make sure that they can come for the update, and hopefully we can move this along in May. Any questions or comments? Kristen?
Just for anyone listening, if you could just expand a little bit on the scope of what the RFP covers, like that you said the work hopefully could start in April, like what's the output, just for anyone not familiar with?
Well, it's doing, a lot of it is already in our plans. Like you have site plans for the planning board. You have a conservation restriction.
Yep.
You have the Conservation Commission has, areas. There's the, Conservation Commission has permitting that they've done. So there's all those permits, putting it all in one place. There are requirements to test the water if you do construction. So like when they're doing the irrigation, if that impacts the stream in any way, they would probably need to do water testing. That flows to the backup water supply for, I don't know how many, over 1 million people. Managing some of the areas for knowing what the wildlife is. We had an original meeting where we had all the players, conservation, open space, Sudbury Valley trustees, which are the holders of the CR jointly with the town, the golf course management company. And the management plan looks at all operations of the golf course. And then, water usage, chemical usage, runoff, all of those things, and how you can manage it the best. And then they want a team. We have team meetings where the different representatives will bring in wildlife experts. Like one of the things is pollinator habitat, which is great there. And Professor Dr. Robert G. Geer has agreed to, sit on these and make recommendations. Mass Wildlife has made recommendations in the past. We'd want that updated, just so that we keep it in a pristine, as pristine as possible, environmental area, as well as safety issues for there's chemical uses, so how those chemicals are used. It's an overall management plan, and it's actually required in the conservation restriction. So this is going to help meet that requirement, which I'm not aware if that's actually been done. So.
It's a great project, I agree. Thank you for that.
And also passive recreation. The Warren article and the conservation restriction allows winter use of the land for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing and sledding.
Yeah.
And there may be recommendations on how to better manage that because, you need a parking lot that's open for people to use in the winter. So things like that to make it a resource for all townspeople.
That's awesome. The only other thing I was going to say was that when the time's right, I think the fact that we're listed on Audubon as an Audubon International course is awesome, and we should promote that at the right time.
So the management plan is the first step. Then you have to work towards getting certified, which means you follow the plan, and that's the goal of the plan, to help you get certified.
How long does certification normally take? Not normally, but average?
It depends on what situations you run into that prevent being successful.
Yeah.
So if there's a I don't want to say anything because we don't have the plan.
Right.
If there's something in the management that doesn't meet the criteria, then we'd have to work towards remedying that to make it fit. And these had all been gone over, like we started this, like I said, we had a big meeting with, it was an all-day meeting with multiple stakeholders, like recreation would be involved. Going over all of this, the golf management company was involved, so there was a golf course committee early on, they were involved, so everyone, there's no surprises here.
Yeah.
Except for people who are new and haven't looked into it, but there was nothing in the past that was surprising or objectionable.
All right, thank you.
Katie?
Is there a cost to this? What are you looking for from us?
I'm updating you on a project that's already been funded by
It has
town
been
meeting.
funded?
It was funded in, I can tell you the exact year,
So that was with the golf course?
2018.
Okay,
Yep, in 2018.
It's a
it was funded.
standalone project.
Yep.
okay.
And we're actually already working separately on a component of this, I didn't mention, like managing invasive plants and species is part of it. The Open Space Commission has a CPA project where, I don't know if you recall that there used to be I don't know what you call it, there were stairs and a stand easier to hit the ball, tee off, right adjacent to Route 9, Route 85.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
wooden
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
A wooden
yeah,
one. That's not there anymore, but it was, it was gave you a better handicap or something. Anyhow, you couldn't even see it. It was a solid wall, that whole stretch of Route 85 adjacent to the golf course was a solid, many feet deep Japanese knotweed, and we had the invasive tree of heaven, and we are almost, we've been working on that. It's a multi-year project, and there's other areas of it, but we have really done a great job there. And one of the problems with the tree of heaven is it's like a host plant for the spotted lanternfly.
Oh.
So you don't want to be attracting that invasive species to the golf course. So we think we've done a good job. We have to do a little cleanup, and then there's ongoing work. But that is one of the things that the Audubon International program asks you to do, is to, remove invasive species and to have good habitat.
So Katie, this article was from 2018, and it was for $15,000. So there
For
was.
the whole thing or just for the management plan?
Just for the management
Management plan.
plan.
Okay.
But then it's minimal costs, isn't it, year to year after that?
It should be, and then that's up to, I shouldn't say minimal cost because you don't know what problems we're going to find.
Well, but I'm saying, once everything is set with the management plan as they go through it, isn't it?
Remedied everything.
Right, we've remedied everything, isn't it? I'm just trying to remember, because again, this is going back, I wasn't on CPC then. There's just an annual fee.
There's an annual fee that we expect, which the golf course committee should have been paying along.
Right.
And we, because things hadn't progressed, we paid the last one. This year, they're going to have to pick it up.
It's a small fee.
Like 500.
Yeah.
Well, so we had dropped out, I shouldn't say we dropped out, we weren't working on it, and there was no payment for it, and then we went back after the irrigation came up. I reconnected with the International. It was like, because we, it was, the warrant article requires that the irrigation be done to Audubon International standards, and in the meetings, there was conversation that the Golf Course Committee started work on getting, with the Open Space Commission, getting the management plan started and, the plan finished. So the plan is just a plan, then they have to work on it. But what happened then, I was able to get the Audubon International to drop all the years of non-payment and reinstate us. So that was a huge savings, and I'm hoping they'll do that, that we can continue on with that.
Okay, so that's my other question, is there's been work done up there? Is there any work that we might potentially have to undo and then pay for? Like, was the irrigation done to the standard, or whatever else was done
The
up there?
irrigation has not been done.
It hasn't even been started?
No.
That's another
it-
project.
The cost
That's
came in
another-
a lot higher, so they
Right.
haven't paid into it.
So Bill's
things
coming
take
back
a
for a
lot
fall
of
town
time.
meeting article
Okay.
to, yeah.
I figured because we were talking about signage, we're close, I don't know.
No.
Because I
Well,
golf up there, and they've been talking about it, so.
Yeah.
Well, there've been completed projects, the parking lot,
Right.
the
PR, CR.
relocation of the holes,
Yep.
I'm not sure if the golf the clubhouse, I don't know if we funded some of that or not, but the, the other tees were done. There was a lot of work.
And that was all to standard? Audubon, like to their standards?
Like, will we have?
We won't,
Will we have
no,
rework?
listen to this. We won't have to undo anything. We'll start where we are now. If things need improvement, you can work on those, but nothing will have to come out. There's nothing that I'm aware of that's that disastrous that has been done, And I do know that they did check in with Audubon International about just basic checklist of what needs to be in the irrigation, because it's to their standards, so they have some standards, but what we really want is someone who's reviewing that, an outside party. What are those standards, and are these really meeting it, instead of just, yeah, we are. I mean, who's saying, yes, we are? So, and it's a serious thing because it is dealing with water next to, there's a stream there that's a perennial stream that also flows into the Sudbury Reservoir, which, is, it's next to Route 9, but there's still standards. And one time someone said, when I had mentioned that, it was the backup water supply for the city of Boston, and people said, you're, I won't say the language, but full of something, and they'll never use that water. And then a week or two later, a major valve broke over the Charles River in Newton, and everyone in Boston was using the Sudbury, I don't think they were drinking it because it didn't go to a treatment plant, but it is still a valuable source of water that we want to make sure we're not dumping chemicals into that are
Especially
inappropriate.
with the unknown needs for water in the future.
Right, so.
Are you good, Katie?
Yes.
Okay. Grant, anything?
Yeah, I think it's positive news that it's moving forward. I know, I think a couple years ago, there was some confusion about the requirements and everything, so nothing for me, just good news.
Great. Ellen, any comments or questions for Freddie?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Freddie, for the update and for your work on this. I think maybe this is more for the rest of the committee, but just wondering if we want to set up some kind of check-in points with open space and the golf course committee. Because as we said, it's from 2018, and understanding it's a process that takes time. Just looking a bit at our spreadsheet, it was a $15,000 project. It looks like about 500 has been spent so far. So there's a lot of money kind of still out there. And I think we want to keep this moving as much as possible. So maybe if there's a plan in place to keep checking in with CPC and make sure you have the support you need to get this done. But I think, making sure that it's happening.
Go ahead.
That sounds wonderful.
So Ellen, I was thinking on some of these projects that are ongoing, we create a quarterly spreadsheet and have them come in and just update us. And I think that's something we institute as we go forward. And by then, hopefully, they'll have moved along. They'll be starting to get the management the management plan goes out to bid, correct?
We have an RFP. No, it doesn't go out to bid. It doesn't cross that line.
Okay,
It
but-
goes out to
so,
the
but
best
someone-
management practices. We'll be working, following the
Right. Procurement.
procurement requirements. But, and then once that's done, I'm envisioning that the plan itself takes maybe a year, if that.
So we'll do quarterly on this, unless there's something, Freddie, if you guys move things along faster and Open Space wants to send us an update, we'd be, even an email update letting us know.
Well,
that.
Yeah, and in addition to the quarterly, in line with Ellen's comment, I envision that the Open Space Commission and hopefully the golf course will be in agreement with us. We'll want to have some language or information when you start talking about the irrigation system funding.
Okay. Claire, did you have anything?
No, the only thing is, I think the whole thing of having quarterly updates on the projects is extremely important.
Great, thank you, Claire.
Mhm.
Mr. Litton, name and address, please.
Tim Litt, Woodland Road. 8 years is an awful long time for a project to be dragging out. I think in addition to quarterly updates, I think there needs to be a project plan that has some milestones, and you need to measure, to the milestones. I've been in engineering for over 50 years, and the only way a project gets done is if you have a plan, you have milestones. Yes, things may slip, but you have to manage to the plan. Otherwise, the work manages you. I think that's general. I'm not picking on this project in particular, but I think for all of your projects, it's important, to manage them like a project.
So this is an interesting topic that I suggest maybe we carry over, because I immediately had about 20 thoughts go to my head
know.
on that.
Me too.
What is the role of CPC versus what is the role of the people running the project? And I don't know that we want to get into the business of micromanaging project plans. I get your point, and I completely understand coming from a program management that's, a background. I take what you're saying. I think it's something we need to think about, because these are volunteer positions. And
I'm not saying that you need to produce the plan and that you need to be doing the management, but I think the people who are running the project need to have a plan. And, when it's reviewed, you ought to be able to ask the question that says, okay, you told us your milestones were X, Y, and Z. How we doing? What's missing? Again, there needs to be a plan. I'm not trying to push you into the business of making it.
May I say?
Let me just say
That's
first,
my
Freddie.
2 cents.
So I think that, Tim, that there's a way to incorporate something along those lines. We used to do a letter of expectation, and I think that's really a great place to set guardrails into, but with the onus being on the applicant more so than us. But I think we can set those guardrails within the letter of expectation that we do, Tim. We can put the milestones that we're looking for and that we're agreeing to.
I believe the timeline is also a requirement of the application, so maybe if we're not getting enough detail there in the application, we can revise the application to
Yeah.
require more substantial
So
milestones or timeline there.
Go ahead.
one thing that kind of answers Tim's concern is the CPC now has started having sunset qualifications. This project was before you had that, and I think you'll be having future conversations about that, and it'll be a future topic, but that, the work needs to be done by such and such a date. So that would preclude something like this, although this was written before it, so there's nothing out of line, aside from it's taken too long. And I will say that in a project like this, having more deadlines would have been beneficial for us. And that as far as the Open Space Preservation Commission is concerned, nothing has slipped. So there's other issues at play. And, I don't need to go into them tonight, but
Okay.
other issues.
All right, thank you. So we'll look forward to quarterly updates, or Freddie, when the RFP goes out, once it's awarded, Open Space can shoot us an email and let us know that, things are progressing as well. That would be helpful.
Claire
Open
has her hand
space
up.
and
Okay, yeah. And golf, sorry. Claire, go ahead.
Thanks. This doesn't have anything specifically to do with the project we were just talking about, but in general, unless I'm crazy, I think that one of the discussions that we had several months ago was making sure that whoever the provider of services was giving exactly what they are supposed to be giving. This is beyond the scope of what the expertise is, and most people on CPC, or maybe just me. But it kind of follows along with what Tim said in terms of milestones, but also making sure that the project gets done the way it's supposed to get done.
Agree. Thank you, Claire.
yeah, I'll just say there's nothing in this.
And did we discuss, just so that I don't think I'm going crazy, we did discuss that a couple months ago, correct?
We did in a very broad sense. We did.
Right, okay, all right,
Yes,
thanks.
absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
And
thank
I
you.
will say for this specific project, there is nothing in the project that the Golf Course Committee and the Open Space Preservation Commission could not accomplish. It's not construction, it's not that kind of knowledge. It's working with, really bringing people and the other stakeholders together. Bringing the experts in. So we aren't, like one of the things is they want some birder experts, right? So we bring those people in. The Open Space Preservation Commission has connections to those resources. The Golf Committee and the Golf Management Company have connection to any of the resources they need on golf expertise. So in that way, this was well thought out. It's just dragged on way too long, and I'm really happy to see this move forward, I hope, or, we'll be here next month with another story. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, town meeting prep. So we know town meeting is April 11th. I had planned a vacation last year, and I will be on a plane. Well, hopefully I'll get through security at the airport and be on a plane. So I had asked Kristen if she would put the motions on the floor. So she's going to do the budget and the discretionary adjustment, and that leaves the trust article. And Kristen's not comfortable, which I understand, that's not an article she supports. So I was going to see if Grant would be comfortable putting the article on the floor. I'd have Ellen do it, but she's on the trust, and I think that's kind of a little bit of a conflict.
Sure, and that, just to clarify, that's just making the motion, not giving a presentation.
No, there's,
Okay.
yes, no, not at all. It's in, you can answer questions. If any questions come up, the chair of the trust, hopefully, is going to be the one that's going to answer the questions as the applicant. And I will let Mark Purple know. And basically, I actually already have the list of motions, and I move as printed in the warrant.
Okay.
So you'll have, your name will be on that, and I'll get you a copy of that as well, once he adjusts it, you and Kristen. So it's just the 3 articles. So if everybody's good with that, Freddie did book a room for prior to town meeting.
Right, so if there's a possibility of anything that needs to be discussed, you need to make sure we have a quorum, and we will post a meeting, and I have the meeting room number, but we have a room to have a meeting right before town meeting, and we can decide at what time you want to meet.
Yeah, so town meeting's at 10. I don't anticipate anything coming up, but, excuse me, it's probably going to be like a 5-minute meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what time everybody plans to get to town meeting. If you're going to town meeting, first, I guess we would need to make sure we have a quorum. And if we don't, then we just wouldn't have a quorum. So, again, I'm not going to be there, but I'm thinking it's going to be a busy town meeting. People are going to want to get a seat, so, I can
Why don't
post.
you make it 15 minutes before?
Well, then you don't get a seat in the auditorium.
Or we go and get a seat and then come back out.
I was thinking at
Half an
like 9:15, having a 5-minute meeting, then it gives everybody time to, get your bearings together. I don't know if people are comfortable being there that early. I kind of leave that to you guys, because I won't be there, so.
I wouldn't mind 9:30. I feel like
9:30?
9:15 is
Okay.
excessively early.
Nope, 9:30 is fine, if everybody's good with
works for
that
me.
that's going. You're good with that, Grant?
Yep.
Claire, are you working the
Yeah,
election? I mean, are you
just
working town
so that
meeting?
everybody, just so that, I had already been asked to be there at 8:30 to help out with registering people and everything for
Okay.
Jim Hegarty. So, I could do 5 minutes, but depending on the traffic and stuff, I'll be there. And if it's just for a vote or something, I can jump in.
Okay, that's fine. And Claire, I don't anticipate anything, and if you
Right,
can't,
yeah.
then we don't have a quorum anyway, so that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we do like a quick text beforehand and cancel if we have to, or if
Absolutely.
there's nothing going on?
Absolutely, we'll know, I can even cancel it like 2 days in advance. We
Well,
should know. Go ahead.
I'd keep it just because there have been curveballs in the past.
Okay, sure enough. So we'll leave it. If we use it, great. If we don't, we'll just cancel it. Not a big deal.
That works?
Can I bring up
Go ahead.
standard for every annual town meeting or any town meeting you have a CPC article on, is that it's a reminder for everyone that These articles are the CPC's articles. You put them on the floor. If there's questions, they go to whoever put them on the floor, and then that person can turn it over to, if they don't know the answer, to the applicant. This isn't just about today, I think this time we only have the Affordable Housing
Yep.
Trust, but it needs to be clear, it's a CPC article, and then if there is to be a presentation, that needs to be determined by the CPC, and often they take the feeling of the room, and, if it seems like there's no need for one, we've skipped it. You've often asked the applicant to come prepared, but be willing to follow whatever the chair's lead is on that topic.
But we don't have any, my understanding is there won't be a presentation.
Well, Ellen, actually, if you don't mind, I was listening to the Affordable Housing meeting last night, which was an interesting meeting, by the way. It was very informative. And you guys kind of discussed this, and it sounded like that's where you arrived. I don't want to put words in your mouth, that you'd be prepared if needed. The one thing, though, I think piggybacking on what Freddie just said, there was discussion, Ellen, last night about moving this to consent agenda, which I don't think can be done, and it would have to be done by us. And I wasn't sure how you guys kind of finished up that conversation. So
Okay.
I just want to clear it up now with Ellen on.
Yeah, no, good.
Yeah, so it was a conversation around what we wanted to make sure we had prepared. And so, we have nothing to do with how the consent agenda is set, either as the trust or as CPC, really, right? It's the moderator. And so our thought was to come prepared with a presentation, if that makes sense to CPC, and be fully prepared to not give that if it doesn't seem necessary, and to have a handout at the table that will cover the same information as the presentation, because we know it's a pretty full warrant, and so we don't need to take up time explaining something that we can, do in a couple points on a handout. So that was the thought.
If there's a presentation, Jim needs it typically a week in advance. It goes on the town website in most cases. Through Grant, I would assume you could let Grant know that you're not going to do the presentation, and he can let potentially Paul know.
Do you require knowledge of what's in a presentation of one of your articles ahead of time before it goes out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually some of that stuff is covered when Paul has his dress rehearsal, so to speak, for lack of another term, for the meeting.
Okay, well, we didn't get invited. I think it's already happened, but that's okay.
Well, can I go back
It
on that?
has? Oh.
Because the new requirement is to send it in and it gets put on the town website, I think the CPC needs to see it before it's public of what somebody is presenting.
Well, I wasn't saying we shouldn't.
No, I'm just saying
Okay.
how would you do that? If you'd have to have another meeting.
Ellen, when is the trust meeting again?
Not till after town meeting. We just met last night.
So
if at this point, we're more comfortable with just a handout, I think that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, so who's crafting the handout? And I think CPC should at least see the handout prior to,
Sure. So I'm the one working on that, and
Okay.
it was really just kind of summarizing similar information we presented at last town meeting, and that the trust gave as an update to the select board a couple months ago on just what the trust has been working on, who we are, what we're doing, why this is an important issue.
okay, if you wouldn't mind just sharing that, and what we'll do is I'll put it in a Dropbox for town meeting, and then if anyone has any issues or concerns, then we can look at, when do you think you're gonna have that done? Just, no pressure at all. I just want to make sure that if there's a concern or that, somebody has an issue on CPC with it, that we have time to call a meeting prior to town meeting.
Sure. Sometime next week.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing, and I know we are tight on time, so I'm not trying to deviate conversation, but I want to put this out there and make sure everyone hears that. I have an open question that I want to talk about with Ellen, but first I have to understand how CPC funds can be used, because I'm saying as a citizen, I'm curious if, Ellen, you had mentioned a grant you guys had gone for to help you develop a plan, and I don't think that grant went through, but I still love that idea. You know, that's my major sticking point with just handing money over right now, is that we don't really have that comprehensive plan. I think you guys are, again, great discussion last night, but that to me seems very valuable, and I'd be a lot more agreeable to this if I knew we could maybe talk about, could you use, are there other grants? Could we use CPC funds to instead get that type of plan? Because I do, you know, I've talked about it, right? Like, that's the one thing that just feels like the community hasn't given input into, and what I'd really love personally to see, and I've talked to others. So I put it out there because I don't want to like surprise anyone, that I'm going to probably talk to Freddie and do a little research, but that's one thing on my mind, Ellen, that I think would make this whole thing a little bit more, for me, palatable.
Sure, so that is an allowable funding from CPC to a trust. That was not something that was included in the language that we put together for the warrant article. So for example, the housing production plan that the trust just completed was used with not CPC funding, because we didn't spell out that that's one of the allowable uses, but that since we didn't include that in the warrant article, then the trust used other funds for that. So it is an allowable use, but wouldn't be for this funding if this was passed at town meeting, because it's the same warrant article. And so we are exploring, as a trust, other grant opportunities and TA opportunities from a nonprofit and also from our regional planning agency to work on community engagement and putting together more of that vision plan. So I will say we do have a pretty extensive housing production plan that was presented to the select board and the planning board and unanimously approved and now approved by the state. So we are very much, you know, interested in having that community vision come together. But I also just want to remind folks that we have spent a lot of time putting together that production plan as well.
I do appreciate that, but again, I won't give my spiel, but my main concern is that it doesn't necessarily take into account current density, current population, future build out, and just general opinions in the town in terms of what we want to see with affordable housing, as well as where it really should go. So that's it. Thank you.
May I, not to make this crazy, but what are, I guess I would ask Ellen, what are the possibilities of getting that funding for those plans? And how much do they cost?
So I think it's pretty reasonable. We're talking about, you know, putting together community engagement sessions and a more kind of specific vision for affordable housing. And so the original kind of grant we'd applied for was actually not for this type of engagement. It was more for kind of strategic planning for the trust itself. And that was a program specifically focused on trusts. And so the other programs we're applying for are more generally to town boards and committees that are looking for some support. And so like Kristen said, we talked a lot about this at our meeting last night. And it's something we are continuing to pursue, and it's definitely a priority. So I think with kind of the several different avenues we're exploring, it's something we're definitely hoping to be able to start doing soon.
Okay, because I was just going to mention that if it was that critical, and it seems like at least one member of the CPC feels that it is, that the warrant article is what you put on the floor, not what's written in the warrant, which I believe the warrant's already been signed, correct? I know this is real last minute, but if this was something that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund felt was really critical, and they could pull together a request, and if the CPC was even interested in receiving that, you could add that as an allowable use with some constraints that you felt, like community engagement or whatever it is, and that could be what was read on the floor, and you have the ability to make that vote. But again, I'm just saying it's a possibility, but it's also I'm aware of town meeting is coming up fast, and this is a big ask. Would be, and it has to come from the, not from me sitting here, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Sorry, maybe I'm a bit confused. What would the proposed amendment actually be? So there's the warrant article, which has the 7 allowed uses, which I think was from an original list of, Ellen, is it 9 or 11?
16.
16? Oh, okay.
16.
To support studies.
Okay, and so essentially, this is one of the other uses that's not one of the 7, that is one of the others that would be,
Is allowed by CPC funding.
okay.
So when you say it's not what's in the warrant, it's what's read on the floor. So does that mean if we would amend this, that Grant would have to read the whole warrant article in order to change this?
Sounds
you're
like a
basically-
moderator question.
Well, it sounds like it's more of an amendment.
Yeah.
It's
But-
not an amendment when the proposing, because only
Oh, if we brought it.
CPC can put
Yeah.
your articles. It's your recommendation, so it's a motion, and the motion becomes the article, not what was, it has to be within the 4 corners, and this would just be adding one thing, and I don't know, I think before you even consider it, you would want to discuss that, because, yeah, reading that warrant article would be very
It
painful.
wouldn't be fair to the
I
people
mean,
sitting there.
I can read.
But could, if we did it,
Publish.
No, so one of the things that happens is when they do this, if you have it printed out ahead of time and put it on the screen,
I throw it out there only because if affordable housing was agreeable and we were agreeable, it's not a huge, to me, a huge thing to say, hey, we all agree that a study makes a lot of sense, and if this money can help you get that, great. Like, you know,
What type of study is it, though? So I wouldn't be comfortable just saying a study.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
somebody could do $1 million study, as we've seen, which to me is not a good use of affordable housing funds.
right.
So,
So maybe it's too late for this, but, you know, that's what I'd love to be able to see. Like, there was a grant, we didn't write the grant sounded great. At least you guys seem to think it made sense, so can we replicate that since we didn't get the grant?
so it's technically just adding one of the 16 uses. Am I understanding this right, Ellen, that we didn't put within the warrant article?
Yes, and I'm just one person here, right? And so I think I very much appreciate the suggestion, Freddie. I think it is probably, in my opinion, it's late in the game to do this, and I think introduces a lot of confusion. And I'm personally optimistic about the other funding sources that the trust has been talking about to move this forward. So I think, you know, maybe it's an opportunity at a future application period to look back at that list of allowed funds, of allowed uses that the trust has. But I'd be happy to leave the article as is for this year.
So let me offer a suggestion. We are looking at a fall town meeting, Kristen. Is this something you'd be comfortable with? And, you know, working with the trust to put together, I know it's outside of our normal realm of what we do, but it's prior to town meeting. We are discussing this. We know there's an opportunity. I don't think we're talking $1 million here. Maybe that's an opportunity to bring something to the fall, if need be.
Wait, sorry, are you suggesting pulling the
And-
current article?
No, keeping the current article as it is, and then there are still monies. I guess there's a couple different ways I'm thinking in my head we can do this, but we'd really have to ask Jay Tallerman. I don't know if we could bring it in the fall as an amendment, if you will, to a prior article, just asking the hall to approve based on the $50,000 or $60,000 that we're doing now, or actually just coming forth with a new article. You know, there are monies, you know, we left the $100,000 in there. So I think that working with council, we can probably find a way to do this if this is something that the committee's, you know, willing to do. And again, we don't have to come to any agreement or terms or anything tonight on this.
Well, and I do trust,
So
like, I trust what you're, obviously, Ellen, like, you seem to have a great committee and everyone seems committed to this plan, so that's great, right? And maybe by the time we get to fall town meeting, it's all set, you already figured out the funding.
Yep.
And there's a plan, I guess, like, clearly I'm just very interested in a more detailed plan. And I just thought the grant was a great opportunity, so I'd love to see something like that go forward. But you guys seem like you're already on top of it, so we could see what happens.
Yeah. And I will say, so what we had applied for was technical assistance. And so that's what we're looking for again in the future. So I think it's not really, we're not looking to hire a consultant the same way, we did to put together the housing production plan. It's really about getting that assistance from one of the several agencies in the state that does this type of engagement and visioning and planning. And so I think it's less, the hurdle isn't really not having funds that we can use it for. It's just finding the right avenue and getting accepted, for the TA process. So I think it's helpful to have this conversation and kind of understand different paths we might want to go down. But I think we as the trust kind of know what to explore next.
So why don't we leave this as an ongoing discussion? Seeing if you get the grants and kind of, that's my suggestion, going from there. But we leave the article as it is for this, for this town meeting. Grant doesn't want to read it anyway, the whole thing, so people be falling asleep. So, okay, so is everybody good with that? And then I'll come back to you, Freddie.
Claire? I don't know if she's-
Yep, Claire, I don't know. Are you good with leaving the article as it is and, having an ongoing conversation potentially as we move forward for a fall article?
Sounds good.
Okay, Freddie?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, you wouldn't need to amend it, you could just write a new article. I forgot about that money there, and, it would, there's a little bit extra too because of the,
But if they think they can fund it,
Adjustment.
great,
so that's good that they work on it and you don't have to, and then, you can work with them to move it.
Okay.
I just like the verbal kind of commitment is great. Thank you.
Okay. And Ellen, once you get the handout done, you'll shoot it over so CPC can just take a look at it?
Yes, will do. And Grant, I know at the very least, Doug and I will be at town meeting, if not the full trust. So if there are questions that do come up, I'll make sure I know where you are. If there's anything you want to, send over to us.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if I had to explain it, I would just say it's similar to the one that we did last year, which I could dig out what that dollar amount is, and, we got additional revenue this year that, we're essentially funneling into the same fund that we did last year, would be my
You're ready.
basic description, so. That would, of course,
Thank
quell
you.
all questions.
All right. All right. So I will post a meeting, very general agenda, and then, again, you guys can decide prior, there's a room booked, we'll send that over to you guys along with the agenda, and if you guys need it, great. If you don't, great. Not a big deal either way. Okay, discuss process for continued applications. Why I put this on the agenda was, I kind of view this almost as like a technical review all over again. We're inviting everybody to come on these 4 articles in May, and I thought we could just take a few minutes and go through, recreation, I don't know that there's anything new. They're going to be doing some forums, so I don't know if there's any additional things we'd be looking for or questions other than updates. So I thought we would just, take a few minutes and kind of go through and, put together a note, just like the technical review, if there's anything specific. So Fayetteville Park improvements. Now, Kristen, I know you guys have 2 forums scheduled. Do you want to take a second and plug the dates?
Oh, you're putting me to the test. I don't know the dates
Oh,
off the
boy.
top of my head, but we'll find them and I'll plug them
Okay.
after. But we are going full throttle, working, because there's a lot of work to do, as we know. Parking's the big one, right? And so we have a plan set forward. We approved the funding for our architect to proceed forward with the traffic study. They're also going to support us in 2 public forums, one in April, where we get the feedback, which we've been getting tons of feedback all along, which has been great, and then a playback in May. We are going to go in front of the select board to address some parking questions along Central that we have in terms of park usage during the day. And then again, we have some discussions ongoing with a local business, so we'll just keep giving you updates, but I feel pretty good about, so by next time we meet, hopefully we'll be on the select board agenda, and that will be our next big milestone, I guess, along with the information forms, which I'll find the dates for.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just kind of go down the line. I mean, we're all familiar with kind of where we're at and the outstanding questions that we have, but is there anything new or something you want to make sure that, you know, we get some type of feedback from Recreation on at our May meeting? So Katie,
Nothing.
we like that answer. Grant?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any way to kind of synthesize what the results of the forum were for us, I think that would be useful.
Yeah, we're expecting kind of an output to play back in May, so yeah, some sort of physical.
Yeah, or
Yeah, exactly.
some sort of, you know, everyone was in support, or, you know,
Yeah, no,
everybody hated it, or.
absolutely be an
yeah.
output, you know, a deliverable coming out of
Okay.
these two forums, for sure.
Okay, and then I think this would probably go for some of the other applications as well, but probably a revision
Yes.
with the, well, if there's an updated plan, obviously, we would
Yeah.
want that, and new
Yep.
budget numbers and that kind of thing, so.
That's actually a great point, and maybe we can use rec a little bit as a test subject, since we'll know hopefully in May if we're going to be adjusting anything, where we use that and say, okay, what do we expect an applicant to do now? Like what, and maybe I'm over analyzing it, and it's obvious what needs to be updated, but we could use that in May and over the summer. It's like, okay, now we know the changes we're going to make. How do we go through that process of resubmitting?
Yeah. And I think if we are resubmitting, then I think there's a question in the application about public support, in which you could plug in your
Yeah.
we held 2 public forums, and
There
yeah.
you go.
Exactly.
Awesome, Grant. So just so I have it, form update, revising the application as needed, and budget update.
Yeah.
Okay. Alan, did you have anything?
There you go. Nothing in addition. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire?
I'm good.
Thank you. And I'm just going to add a fourth on the parking. I'll look for a parking update on that, Kristen.
Yep.
Okay, and I will shoot this over to you guys anyway. Okay, so next is the Rural Cemetery Water Tower Restoration.
Can I?
I'm
can I
sorry,
jump
Freddie,
in?
go ahead.
Sorry.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
So in a prior, and this goes for all of the updates and applications, you had set a timeline of when you wanted these done for a fall town meeting. And it wasn't clear to me that we set a deadline for the application to be in, because then there's still the process for the committee to go through it. And with typically the new applications, and you're going to have to, you know, go over the application to make sure it's updated the way you want. And those applications come in August 30th.
So you're not talking about these four?
I'm talking about these 4 coming back for fall town meeting.
Yep,
And so you've opened up an application process for a fall town meeting. And I just wanted to be sure that I'm not going to be stuck writing warrant articles while you're, you know, that you're getting new applications in August 30th. You should be done with the review for town meeting, which means you need an application deadline, June 30th.
so I should have said that. I mean, my goal in bringing these forward would be everything wrapped up by August 30th.
But I think you said that before. My point is that to do that, you need to have all of the information, the deadline for these applications. These projects have been out there. It shouldn't be that hard. June 30th, hard drop. For the committee then to have time to review them and then have the people
But-
come in and,
Or even earlier in June, I would say.
what?
Or even earlier in June, I would say.
To have the revisions complete? I don't know how on some of these projects you're going to get, you know, the golf course irrigation. Well, that could be done. I think we're not meeting again till May, so we're going to have one meeting with the potential revised application, and then if we say it has to be done by June, I imagine there's still going to be ongoing questions. So.
What day is town meeting, September? Is it early or late
Well,
September?
some want it September, but I'm hearing it's probably going to be later.
Oh, it hasn't been set,
It
okay.
has not been set.
Okay.
No.
The
No.
But
point
the
I'm
warrant
making,
are always closes well ahead of the meeting
Correct.
and, you know, like a
Correct.
month plus, right? So
Yeah.
if it's September, we would need to be done by August, like
Mm.
final warrant articles and everything.
Agreed, yes.
And we don't want to be doing it at the last minute, so. it
Why
would
don't
be-
we do like July 30th? I think that just buys us a little bit of time if we can get them done sooner. I mean, I'm thinking on some of these, like the Gulf irrigation, I don't think there's like a lot of legwork, if you will, on these. I could be wrong. I'm more comfortable giving us the time. I don't want to set a timeline that's unrealistic.
Mhm.
So I'm more comfortable with, July 15th, or, I mean, it'd be great for us to be able to have some time during the summer, to be able to not meet, as a lot of boards and committees do. So I'm comfortable with July 15th or July, 31st, I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I am too.
I just don't know that I can handle having new applications coming in August 30th while you're still reviewing these and writing the warrant articles you know how long it takes to go through projects. They come in,
But-
you have questions, they come back. If you're just getting them July 15th, with everyone's vacation time, when do you really think you're going to have a yay or nay on the project?
Yeah, I'm viewing this as, is July when we would want to finalize everything internally, or is July when we're trying to get all the information we need? Because I think those are kind of two separate. One is like, I think we should be asking now pretty much for the updated info
Oh, agreed,
for most of these and getting it as soon as possible.
for our May meeting.
And then,
Grant.
yeah.
That's what
for
I'm
May.
thinking. Yeah, for our May meeting.
So, and then, so the deadline that we're talking about is essentially for our review, not for applicants to get back to us. Because
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Because our review process
separate
might take
things.
3 or 4 meetings if
Right.
there's something that we need to hammer out, so we don't want to wait too long for them to get back to us and then have to realize, oh, we're up against the gun again.
We're treating all four of these as if they're equal.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at each and say, like, I know right now, and just, for example, the recreation, our first meeting's on Tuesday, April 14th at 7. It says via Zoom. I do want to find a room for it, so more to come. But then our playback is Wednesday, May 20th. So if you come and say to me, Rec, we need everything by May, we're going to be like,
Yeah.
we don't know yet. But we will know very soon after that. And we have to get on the select board's agenda, and I'm not quite sure how long that matter may take. So maybe we need to go through each project and each of the proponent, and say, what's the timeline for the water tower? What's realistic? Now, I know we can't do the thing we do and we keep pushing it out, but at the same time, in some cases, we have real dates already, so we should work around those, I think.
What about saying revised applications? I mean, we're going to ask for them prior to our May meeting.
Okay.
But, and again, as Kristen says, they may need a little bit longer. So we can ask for May, but I think if we realistically did a mid-June, that would give you time to compile, figure out where you're at. And then at our June meeting, we can really start digging more into recreation. I don't think for the water tower, I think revising the application, I don't know, Grant, if any, if the contractor has done anything on that yet. I know that there's,
Shall we skip agenda items? I can go to that if you'd like, but,
okay.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I think
essentially,
that makes
for
sense.
historical, there's been no tangible progress so far.
Okay,
That doesn't mean it won't happen but I haven't connected with Kevin in probably a month or so on that,
Okay.
but yeah.
so why don't we just let's not set timelines tonight. Let's go to our May meeting and see where we're at. But the end game being having everything done and the articles done by August, the end of August, which means basically an end of July, having things wrapped up. So Freddie has time to draft the warrant articles. Is that fair?
Yeah, I wasn't clear when you thought these applications are going to come in. And I know they're revised, but one of them's almost like new, because
Yep.
the water tower, we don't know anything about. And
Yeah, I think
We'll
we
ask.
can,
for
I
May.
think May is a reason, like mid-May or mid to late May for a revision. And of course,
Yep.
it could be like any of our other applications where we can
Yep.
work with them for the next month or two to hammer it out.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do we all agree on the timeline that we want everything done, warrant articles done and drafted and ready to go by August 31st? And on that point, as Freddie said, we're going to be getting new applications coming in, so we really don't have the time anyway. So does anyone have an issue? Ellen or Claire have an issue with having warrant articles done and, revised applications? We'll talk about it in May at the meetings, but let's have a goal of trying to get everything wrapped up by the end of July. Does that sound fair to everybody?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
think that, if you look at the amount of time that you allow for a Springtown meeting, this is a short time, so the sooner that you set the deadline, the better.
Yeah, no, I agree, Claire. Some of this stuff is new, and again, I look at most of these projects as we've gone through them, we've done our technical review. Hopefully we'll have some more information. I'll reach out to Bill Cundiff on the other projects, but, all right, let's just go back to Fayetteville. So we have 4 things we're gonna ask for: parking update, budget, revised application, and a forum update.
Yeah, but we won't have a revised application in May.
We're gonna ask, though. We're gonna consistently
Okay,
ask everybody.
gotcha.
You may not have it, but we're gonna ask.
Got it.
Okay, so Grant, Rural Cemetery, I know that there's talk of changing the scope a little bit.
Yeah, so essentially there's 2 tracks that are happening right now, and I think we had kind of alluded to it at one of our prior meetings. So one is the CPA application, which would require the, blanking on the term, the assessment or whatever for the work that needs to be done, the budget and all that kind of thing, which we did finally receive funding for from the select board. On another track, Kevin is currently talking to the select board and DPW about another use for the building as a columbarium, which is for cremated remains. Based on my conversations with him, that would not, I think technically it could be done in a way that CPA could fund, but I think his vision for it would not be CPA compatible. So right now, I think both of those things are kind of moving forward, I mean, like, they're both up in the air. I don't have a sense of which one or both or neither will kind of proceed. I think they are kind of exclusionary. So if the select board and everybody agrees that, let's convert this building to another use and put a stained glass window in it, or, change the exterior or something like that, then, like, obviously it would not be CPA fundable. Whereas if that falls through, that's too expensive, nobody likes the idea or something, then I think, the application is still here. So it's kind of been, to be frank, stalled, or at least from my perspective, stalled. I think Kevin is working on it, but I don't know the nature of those talks or where that stands right now.
Isn't there I'm just thinking on mysouthborough.com, I read, isn't there a new committee being formed?
Cemetery committee.
So is this now a dependency on that committee and its timeline is the question?
I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna assume no.
I'm also not sure.
Yeah.
Or what the effective date would be, or typically town meeting warrant articles take
Or this,
six
So I
months
think
or
it's just
something
maybe
to-
a question for anyone more in the know, like,
Yeah.
are we looking for that committee to be formed? Are they going to be, like, how do they come into play? Is that a decision we're asking them to make, and therefore we now have
Oh,
a
I see.
new deadline anyways?
I haven't heard that. I think it's a select board decision, if I had to guess, but,
Yeah.
and I know that Kevin's been talking to the select board. I know that he's talked to DPW. I think he's talked to like architectural consultant about potential work and stuff like that, but yeah, it's kind of like a whole separate thing from
Got it,
the article before us,
Yeah.
or at least his conception of it, I think, so.
got it. Thank
Right now, they're both kind of up in the air, but we are continuing forward with, and we do have the funding for that study, so I need to connect with him essentially to figure out what's happening.
is that related to this, Tim? Because I want to get through, okay, go ahead.
So there is a committee. That committee is one fork of something I'm driving for the cemetery, and looking at the columbarium is in scope of that committee.
Okay.
If that helps.
Do you know what, I know the committee's not formed yet. Do you have any idea of what the timeline might be? Because I guess where I'm going is if this committee has a charge that goes through December, like, how does that come into play?
Yeah, no. If they have a say on this, then, yeah.
It's, the overall charge is cemetery expansion, and that means looking at and finding land for
It's big.
expanding the cemetery. It's
Yeah.
likely to go at least a year's.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if it's just,
But the question of the water tower and the columbarium is something you
Yep.
could ask them to prioritize.
True.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So we'll find out more on that. So, okay, so again, we'll do the standbys, the revised application, a budget, any project scope update, and find more out if this would fall under the scope of the crematorium piece, I guess, it's not really crematorium, but what was
Yeah.
the word you used, Tim?
Expansion.
Okay, if it would fall
Yeah.
under them, and this will give us time to get that done before.
And quite frankly, I think if nothing is moved on this by mid-May, like,
Yeah.
we'll probably scrap it or something, or,
Agreed.
you know,
Okay,
that would be my guess, like, because remember, there's still, the study still hasn't been done, so that would take time and all that, so if nothing's been done by our May meeting, then
okay,
I would expect it to not move forward this cycle at least, but
okay. We'll
Um,
ask you know,
yeah.
we'll send out the letter, we'll ask the question. Was there anything else you wanted, Kristen? Katie?
No.
Grant, I'm not going to ask you because this is kind of your project. Ellen, is there anything else you would like us to ask for the Historical Commission?
No,
/
that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Claire?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. So
Sooner the better.
there you go, 2 down. Golf course irrigation. So I know we had Bill in, we talked to Bill. I'm gonna, again, same things, gonna be asking for revised application, budget, any updates that he may have as well. Is there anything else specific other than that for the additional funds for the irrigation that we may want to look for?
I can't remember from his memo, but is there a revision of scope for the irrigation, or is it just a change in cost, I guess is a question I have.
It's a little bit of a change in scope.
Yeah,
So, because they're putting in this in a pumping station or whatever it is, I actually have his memo here.
yeah,
So, yeah, and actually, there was a list of questions we had for him then. There was concern of an open project and funding another, which is the Audubon International is an open project. We've kind of gotten beaten up on open projects. So, and we were looking for a revised application. Again, these were notes from when Bill was here. A final number, more complete scope. Did the original article change? Any SVT approval required? Will the pump be allowed? Looking for analysis of the revolving fund, and I don't know what reaching out since 12/25 means. I don't know what that means, but
They've been reaching out.
yeah, so
maybe.
I would expect probably a more substantial revision for Sol, because it's been a couple
Yep.
years and because of the scope, so just, whereas for like, for recreation, where it's like, changing the numbers, changing the plans or something like that, but this,
Yep.
I would expect like a
Okay.
full rewrite or that kind of thing.
Okay,
Yep.
revision. And we'll still ask those same questions because they're still outstanding
Yeah.
from when Bill was here. So, any other,
Just to make sure that if there are standards for the Audubon,
Yep.
that they follow it, so we can
That's-
get ahead of that.
good one, thank you. Okay, Claire, did you have anything else short of, other than what I just kind of read quickly?
No,
Okay, thank you.
but
Ellen?
thank you.
You're welcome. Ellen?
Nothing else.
Okay,
Thank you.
go ahead, Freddie.
I would just state that the Audubon International is an open space preservation commission and golf course committee project, and that just going and saying we've met the standards without having some input from those commissions before you finalize approval of moving it forward would be recommended, because
Okay.
we started the project, it's been opened, and it should be still under the purview of that group as far as the requirement in the original warrant article.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to, just some oversight,
Okay,
that is actually being done.
okay, that's perfect.
I guess one other question for
Sure.
me is, essentially, like, are there any alternatives for the irrigation system that could be, like, I don't know the answer to this, but is this like the deluxe model that we
Okay.
want, that's super expensive? Are there other cost alternatives, that kind of thing? I'm going to guess
Okay.
the answer is probably no, but we'll
ask.
we'll see, so.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get that one shot out. Now, trails, we had a list of questions as well from our last meeting. I'm just kind of flipping through some of the questions. We had 9 questions. And I don't know that we got these answered. Maybe she did. I don't know. If the CPC can't use funds directly from one project, I think we did answer some of these. Given the dollar amount, does we need a new town meeting vote? Yeah, so I'm thinking back now to when Kat was here. We had talked about finding a way to utilize Phase 1, as she called it. Monies, we were trying to find a path to that, but then there was discussion if she needed more to be able to complete.
I thought that's the route that, I think Freddie gave us an update, right? That you had spoken to her and that she decided to go forward with a new application with trying to get the full scope instead of kind of reduced scope?
Right.
Am I
but,
misremembering that? Or?
Yes, and also, town council answered the question, we can't just
Right.
use funds from one project to pay another.
Yep.
So that needs to be
Closed
closed
out.
out, the money's returned. That can be part of the conversation, right? That the
Yep.
funds are kind of there, that they did a good job getting other funding to do that phase of the project, but you can't just start paying the bills out of that account. So, and then she was going to look into what she can fund with the money she was supposed to be getting some other information from the people who did bids.
So she's more of an update as to what's going on, what's taken place since our last conversation, including, because we have updates, obviously, from town council, but a revised application, see if so I think we'll leave that one more open-ended. We'll ask for some specific things, if she has, we need a cost, what can be funded, a cost of what additional she may be looking for.
I think it would be a new application, wouldn't it? The content can be very similar across the two, but it would be a different project for a new project isn't that what?
Isn't it still?
Because you can't transfer the funds between the two, or would it be a revision?
Yes, if she needs more funds,
Yeah,
you need a new warrant article on town meeting floor for those funds.
And it would be the same for golf then, because golf needs additional funds.
Right.
Right. So,
maybe it's a technicality between revision and a new, but,
We'll
because of
ask.
course you can
we'll ask,
start with
absolutely.
the prior version.
Revised
so.
/ new application.
Yeah.
The question was if the new project had less than the original project,
Correct.
then you need to address that somehow because it's on the books of what the town meeting voted to fund.
Okay.
And going thoroughly, I think we did back then go through the warrant article, but I think it said both a boardwalk and a bridge.
It did. It
So if you're not going to build both, we have to, you need to find a way to address that so town meeting knows. You can't just say, okay, we're only going to do
Yep.
part of it. The other thing that came up there, and it's going to be an issue with maybe some other projects, it was the first time setting these sunset clauses,
Yes.
and they didn't give you, normally, with the contingency funds, it gives the applicant the ability to come into the CPC to get your vote to use the contingency fund. The sunset clause said shall be completed by. And if you have that language in the future, you may want to say, unless you meet with the CPC and discuss it with them to give some, authority to extend it within a certain time frame or whatever you think's reasonable. But just saying you're done, you got to be done, or don't, when this project may not start, well, you already know it's not going to start till after fall town meeting, unlikely to be completed by December of 2026.
So I actually have it here. It says, funding is contingent on a project start date of July 1st, 2024, and be completed by December 1st, 2026, or the funds to be returned.
So if she needs more money, you're going to write a new warrant article for it, then you can fix it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just bringing it up, say she doesn't need more money, and she can't finish it by then.
Still needs the dates changed.
And so in your future, I'm only bringing it up for the future warrant articles, when you have sunset clauses, you want to consider how to
Yeah.
allow them to come and speak with the committee, and for reasonable,
Committee decides
Concerns.
to
Instead of having
extend.
to wait for another
right.
town
and you can even put it, the
Yeah.
extension can be limited,
Yeah.
but you want to give yourself that, and the applicant that freedom.
And I think for Kat, since she's in a kind of unique position here, we would probably want to get explicitly from her whether or not she wants to close out those, like as part of her application, whether or not she wants to close out her existing funds, because,
She already said she is.
okay, that's what I
'Cause
thought.
She doesn't, she
Yeah.
just needs to get some final signage done, which will be coming up.
Right,
But she doesn't have anything left in that project to fund.
Yeah.
No, I meant the other one, so the boardwalk and bridge one.
Yeah.
So if she's putting forward a new project for however many, thousands of dollars, she would need to close out the existing one because she already has an appropriation for that, right? So,
I think you would want me to check with town council and the coalition, but I think there's a path forward. I don't think you
Yeah.
want to close that out and not, you want to be very careful on how you
okay,
manage that funds. If you
Yeah.
can add money in a new warrant article to the
To the
project,
project.
okay, I see.
to
Yeah.
cover that project. But-
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Katie?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
Nope, it's
luck.
8:30.
Thank you.
Katie's leaving, just so Sue, when she does the minutes, knows. Okay, so I think we're good with that. So next, we are up to signage. So I know Ellen has, I'm going to kind of go out order a little bit. I just want to give a quick update on the select board meeting. The focus of the discussion ended up being about closing out projects, which has been discussed before. Again, there's a lot of projects that we're looking for signage for. We've been working towards it. I don't know that their vision was the same as ours of what we were looking for signage. But Ellen has actually put in the Dropbox, and Ellen, I will punt it off to you, some great signage, and Mr. Litt, I had put in the Dropbox as well, shared a really interesting thing that Hopkinton does. They actually encase the sign in it's wooden. It's very nice looking. So if you did a plastic or a PVC-ish type sign, it may extend the life of the sign as well. So just some interesting things to consider, but I will punt it to Ellen. And thank you for all the work you've done,
Sure.
Ellen.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, and Kristen, for attending the select board meeting. You see, if I can share, I can pull up this spreadsheet. Thank you.
I think I just allowed you.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So I shared this with Kristen and Freddie last week, but just wanted to try and keep moving this forward. And so this is based on the information on open projects, Lisa, that you had shared with us a few months ago. And first want to say that whoever put in these town meeting references and all of the warrant articles, thank you. That must have been a tremendous amount of work and made it very easy to go back and find the language for all of these. So I don't know if that was you, Lisa, or Freddie, or if it was Carla, but
It was
thank
Carla.
you to
It was
that
Carla,
person.
yep.
Okay, thank you to Carla. So what I tried to do was break out, we have projects that are open because they're open, things are happening, work is ongoing. and then we just have projects that need signs. So I tried to go through and take a look at where these projects are, and kind of give a little summary that could be the language on the sign if we want to have something that's more descriptive. So I know part of the conversation at select board was, should it just be this project was funded, by the citizens of Southborough through the CPC? And like you said, Lisa, I think our vision had been a little more descriptive about what the this is. So if that's what we wanted to do, I tried to think about, okay, for each project that I could, what would that description be? And start identifying if there are, we have 2 historic renovation and preservation projects at the Flag School. I think we can have 1 sign for that. We have 2 different projects at the library and different things at the park. Those we'll want to have a discussion amongst ourselves and the committees who sponsored those. Is this 1 sign? Is this 2 signs? But at least we have a good chunk where it feels pretty straightforward. This is 1 project with 1 sign with a pretty clear description if we want to go for that. And then part of our other piece on that sign is this, whatever it was, this refurbishment was funded in part or was funded nothing after by the citizens of Southborough. So I didn't have enough history to start filling that in. But that was my thought here, is that if we could just kind of get the language for these, then we would kind of have a sense of what should be on that sign. And then we've talked in the past about having either PVC signs or bronze signs. I basically said bronze for any of the historic projects, that felt more appropriate, and then PVC signs for rec and open space. It felt like the best fit. And then the other pieces of information I think we need are kind of where and how these signs will be mounted. So is this going on a fence next to the volleyball court? Do we need an iron post that someone needs to make a hole in the ground and fill it with concrete? So just kind of figuring out all of that, and then where on the site it's going, and who on kind of the sponsoring project or from the town or whoever it is do we need to talk to get this to happen. So that's what I tried to start pulling together. And then also, let's see, I think, are you seeing now the sign and not the spreadsheet?
Yep.
Okay. So just add a little bit to, right. So this was the sign that we had sent to Trails and is done to the best of my understanding. So just started kind of mocking up some of the ones that felt a little more straightforward. I switched from all capitals on this one because I feel like it's a little bit harder to read. So if we have language we're happy with and Breck is happy with, and we know where it's going, or maybe we can even start ordering and then figure that out. This is kind of a mock-up of that type of language for the volleyball court, what a bronze sign for the fire and police memorial could look like. So I think my kind of hope was that if we can identify, a chunk of these that feel pretty straightforward and have a sense of how we coordinate paying for these, because it feels like the easiest thing to do would be for us to order all of these, right? So we had talked to, I believe, Signorama, which is who does some of the PVC house signs for historic, I think, Grant. And then Franklin Bronze in Pennsylvania does the bronze sign. So if we just have a contact at each of those places and ask for, 5 of these PVC signs that say this and 5 of the bronze signs that say this, we can get a good chunk of these done. But then if each one of these is being funded from a different account, so I feel like positive steps, but still a lot of logistics to figure out.
So can I make one suggestion to take a chunk of these off? I would say that the list is awesome. I would like to, propose to you guys to see what you think, is that I could just say, we've got enough information for me to go to rec at our next meeting. I'm not sure if we said it. We just met last week. Because I think they should have input on where it would go. Like, you think volleyball park, but there's not really anywhere to hang, and I don't know if we want to put a post there. So, I'd want Travis to weigh in on that. I think it's an easy conversation. And then, for Fay Memorial, for Harold Fay Memorial Park, we're not obviously going to want to put anything too permanent in until we know what's happening there, because we're not going to want to have, and this is what I'm not sure was fully appreciated in the select board meeting, right? We don't want 5 different signs at Fayville Memorial Park, but I'm fairly certain Travis already has some temporary signs we could use that note that it's a CPC project. So we could go slap those up until, close the project until we close out. So I guess long story short, I think rec can get to a point where we can close these projects out, and I'd look for them to provide some input on whether we think, yep, we're good to go, let's go for the permanent sign, or, this is what we would suggest in the interim, because I do think Travis should weigh in on where those go as well.
So my only thought on that, Kristen, is that's great. Other than, we can't close, once you close out a project, the funds are gone. So
What I'm thinking for Fay is, though, just get the one, Harold Fay Memorial, get those closed. We will have an article going forward, and if that moves forward, we would assume the more permanent sign.
could be
What if
from,
it doesn't pass?
And then we tackle that when it comes down to, rec may be
but
willing
then
to
you
pay
don't
for
have
a sign.
funds.
You don't have funds.
You don't have funds.
That's the
Close
whole
them out.
point.
Well, we would have a sign there that says funded by CPC.
Temporary, crappy.
And then I can talk to rec about if we end up in the position where we want the permanent, would we be willing to fund it, just in the interest of getting CPC over the finish line here? We're not gonna wanna do permanent signage until we know what's happening there. It just makes no sense. So I think at this point, let's do, we could come up with a recommendation, why we're recommending it. We could do that fairly quickly, because Ellen's done, a lot of work here. We've got the designs. I'm just saying I'd want them to give some input, because when I saw the volleyball, I'm like, where the heck would we put the volleyball sign? I don't think we want to put something, people are running around there, kids are running around there. So I think I'd like to have a conversation with them on what we'd recommend for placement, what we'd recommend for timing, bring that back to you as soon as we meet next, and, get it done.
And I think that's a great idea, and I will meet with the police and fire chiefs, and I think the bronze sign is excellent, Ellen, and I think it's the way to go, but I'm sure they're going to want to have input. I know Mark Purple's going to want to have input. He's going to be signing off on the Triangle Park. So I think if we go through these and tick them off, and some, I don't know, on a restoration of documents, how do you?
I have, if I may?
Yeah.
I have a couple of points. The restoration of documents, which one was that at the library?
Civil War flag.
Civil War flag, and there was documents. That was
Yeah,
the society.
that can be a sign on the,
Where?
A plaque or a placard.
Oh,
it's not.
Where? It's,
Yeah.
that was my
That's-
question.
because it's electronic?
And even Jim,
Gyms, we
I-
used to
it's,
have
like
books
under
that were
glass,
created,
like
that they were put in the books.
and so you would,
So the library there was one inside the library, one of those historic preservation of town documents, was the library-sponsored one, and that could have a sign in the library where they put all those resources. I'm sorry.
but for Jim's documents don't end up at the library.
So they're,
Where would you?
no, so I'm saying, I was talking about the library one. Jim's documents, you'd have a conversation with him, where are these documents? There could be a sign in the clerk's office, when you go in to get something saying, because people can go into the clerk's office and ask to see historic documents, right?
Mhm.
So there could be a sign there, historic documents, because we don't know exactly every single one were restored. One of the ones, you didn't say Triangle Park was a,
That's Mark Purple. I've already had the
that's not a bronze
conversation.
sign though, right? 'Cause that
No, that's
could be
PVC.
one.
It says
Okay.
PVC.
Couldn't read it over here, sorry. I think we need to check the South Union School. There may be a bronze sign up
I think there
there
is.
on one of the projects.
There is.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, no, there's a National Register sign. I'm not sure if there's,
That might be what
yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Might be part of it, just, I can double check.
I'm pretty
but-
sure,
feel like
I'm pretty
there's-
sure CPA is below it. but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
And
gonna say.
one of the reasons you don't want things to get like just left is that I think there was an acknowledgement on the volleyball court that Rec put up, and it was about the size of a,
Postage stamp?
yeah, a little bigger.
Well, it's because like, where do you put it again?
Right, but, I mean, that gets a lot of use,
Mhm.
and, you know, it was funded.
And it just might be, like, again, this is where I think I just got to talk to Rec, like, the tennis fence, maybe we put it all there. Like, I just think, let us have a quick conversation, we know the properties well. Travis, there's safety concerns, I think, at least, in some respects, at least for the volleyball one.
Right, you don't want kids falling on a sign,
Exactly.
tripping over it.
I know it's not strictly related to closing out projects, but I do think that we had, I think Ellen had mocked up temporary signs. I like the one that has the people running and the green background and stuff like that, but like having 10 of those on hand or something for these kind of interim projects that don't have full signage could be nice.
We
move
used to
forward with
have,
that.
for, while projects were
Yeah.
in play, that you would put on, this is, you know, in construction, that, you know, like a
Standard.
lawn sign type
Yep.
thing, this is
Yeah,
your CPA dollars.
work.
At work.
yeah, it's in the, she had a few in the Dropbox, I believe. And then the other thing I'll note, just from Historical's experience putting up the National Register signs and other signs like that, is that in terms of the town contact, typically it's DPW, Ellen, who we worked with to put the posts in the ground or, you know, affix, or plan to affix, you know, against walls or fences or that kind of thing. I would imagine it would be, I think it was Chris Leroy who was helping us at DPW for that.
So you're saying the CPC wouldn't fund somebody to go in and put them in, that the town does that? I didn't mean
Oh.
CPC, CPA, the project funds don't pay for the installation of the sign?
I didn't say that.
Oh.
She had
Thank you.
a column about like who at the town would you contact to install it, I think. I could be wrong about that. I thought that's what she'd mentioned. So typically it would be DPW who would do the installation, is my
Did they
understanding.
like charge back to historical or anything, do you know?
That part I'm not sure about.
So,
I think it was, because those are town assets, I think it was just part of
yeah.
the service. But these are, I don't know how it works for, you know, the reimbursement for this, yeah.
Can I just say, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
For the installation, this has come up with trails they need, and they want an answer, like, part of this, and maybe Ellen already knows this, it's not just the sign, it's like, how is it attached? Like having a sign clipped to a fence, you know, or what kind of posts? So like, are they four-legged, you know, like, no, not four-legged, but not one in the middle, or are they, how do they best, if it's a larger sign, are they sturdier? Will you have two? And it's not just a 2x4, but is it a design look?
So if I could offer a suggestion. So I think Ellen has some great drafts of signs. For me, the first step is to get the language. We can talk about how to install it or what we want to look at to install it, but I think the first piece for our next meeting is to kind of go through this list. I'll take the bronze sign that Ellen has. I'll go to talk to the police and the fire, come up with verbiage that they think is great, bring it back to our meeting in May. The old burial ground, Grant, if you would talk to Historical on a bronze sign, and again, what their thoughts would be on that. The Neary Volleyball Court, Kristen, that's you.
Yep.
I'll go to Mark Purple on the triangle. Mooney Field is,
We can take that.
you can take that. South Union School, there's a couple there.
We can, I mean, I'm happy.
Someone needs to drive by and see if
Yeah,
there's one on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I can make me take a walk.
Flag school for the renovations, I think historical would be great for them to, agree on language for that. For the library,
Was that
again,
the society or the commission who sponsored that one?
It's a town-owned building,
Right,
so I
so it's
think the
town-
commission should take it from now.
Okay,
Agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. And then for the library, if anyone else wants to, have a conversation, I don't know, I'd be happy to do it, but if Ellen or Claire, want to take a sign, a bronze sign, and talk to the Board of Trustees there and kind of get their thoughts as well. I don't know if Ellen or Claire, if either one of you have the time or the inclination.
Can I ask a
Yeah, I
Happy
think
to.
let's do it. The one point that I just want to make is I actually did watch your presentation to the select board. And granted, you did a good job, but, there was kind of like a hole where they were saying, hey, we've got this money, and I think they were being as diplomatic as they could. The bottom line was they just said, let's get some signs. And I understand it's art and everybody, the more people you ask, the more difficult the job is going to be, because everybody has their opinion. And I really like the idea of just picking, Ellen's done a lot of research on this, just let's pick, two styles and say, hey, these are your choices. I think it'll make life a lot easier. It's just my opinion. But I'm glad to talk to the library trustees.
So on Ellen's spreadsheet, Claire, she does say
Yeah.
a bronze sign. So my suggestion would be to take that bronze sign. All we're looking for is everybody to agree on the verbiage that's going to be on the bronze sign. Take the sign that Ellen has done.
Yeah.
And just say, okay, it was for the facade and it was for the restoration.
Right. And I mean, all it can be is a sentence, we're not.
Agreed.
I don't think we have to recreate, I don't think we're going back. I think
No.
we've been through the verbiage. Ellen took that recommendation, she built the signs, so we're just, the next logical step to say is, we've got the signs, this is what we think we should do, going to the appropriate groups to just say, this is what we're leaning towards, right? Like, we're kind of in the final review.
May I ask a question about the library? Because there's the $1 million project that's not complete yet, so that's not there. There was a facade previously, work that was done. So are we talking about a small bronze sign for a project of that size?
Yes, in my opinion, you don't want a giant sign, but I for like the library, I would probably, Ellen, can you bring up the signs again?
Yep.
And again, I'm not suggesting what anybody do, but if you look at the bronze sign that Ellen has, you could just say restoration or, rest of the,
Appropriate for the library.
right, just restoration. I mean, you could leave it, it doesn't have to be a lot.
Okay.
And I think it covers you're only going to get one sign. You're only going to get one chance, like the townhouse. You're going to get one chance to put a sign on the townhouse to cover the projects that are done. So I think you need to leave that one a little, my opinion, you need to leave it a little bit broader. And,
Can I ask, the townhouse isn't there because the project's not complete yet, but there's no reason you can't put the sign up, because the only thing left is the PR.
PR, no, correct, but it's still listed as an open project. I thought we would take these projects that are done.
Yep.
So again, for the library, you could just say, restoration of the library. I mean, it could be very simple, and that, historic restoration, exactly, and then that would cover the additional work that was done, and it's one sign, and,
The same while you're getting the signs ordered, why not throw one in for the townhouse and not have to do it later?
agreed.
Sorry to
No,
divert from what you're
nope,
doing.
totally fine.
I had the foresight on September 14th, 2024, to take a picture of the CPA sign at the South Union School.
Nice.
Nice.
So
did you
it
find
says,
that?
I was looking at my photos. So that it says the 2008 to 2010 restoration of the South Union schools made possible by the residents of Southborough and the Community Preservation Fund.
Will you put that?
See, I
In the
like that,
Dropbox?
and that's what I think got lost a little bit in the select board meeting. I know we want the money to slap a sign on, but that's a lot more meaningful to me and almost historical than, CPC funds used here, or whatever.
So,
If that's there, you can close it out, right?
But I think.
Is that the
everybody's done-
same restoration? I'm not sure if that's the same project, but we could probably,
Don't need to.
we don't need two, right? So,
right, we don't
yeah.
need two signs. So yeah, so that's one that could be closed out. But why correct me if I'm wrong, Freddie, before we close these out, we actually need the applicant to sign off as well on the form. I think when we talked to Jay,
Yeah.
that was the process. So that's why I'm saying, again, historical restoration for the library, Claire, very simple. Go show them the sign, say, this is what we're thinking of doing. We just want, to make sure that you're good with it. Again, the very simple conversations on these. Bayville Park, same thing. Sorry,
So then I could start writing up the
yeah,
forms.
the forms, yeah,
And then you would
gotta get-
sign them here, and
right,
once the signs are on, but
Yeah.
those could be done ahead of time.
right. Golf course, same thing. I think we just do one sign. Ellen, is that one that you would be interested in having a conversation with golf and getting
Sure.
one sign? Okay, let me just make notes of who's
Yep.
doing what. Okay, so Ellen, so fire's gonna be me, burial ground is gonna be Grant, Neary is Kristen, Triangle is me, Mooney Field is Kristen, All Wars Memorial. I know Bonnie Faniff and I had talked about this one. I'd be happy to continue the conversation on that one. South Union, we think that's all set. For the historic preservation
I
of,
don't know about the,
Grant, what did the sign say again? Sorry.
It says the 2000, sorry, give me a sec.
Yep, no, it's fine.
The 2008 to 2010 restoration of the South Union schools made possible by the residents of Southborough and the Community Preservation Fund. Personally, I think that even if the years don't match,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I think so too.
And it's a nice bronze,
Yeah,
and it
it's-
matches there's also a National Register sign on the other side of the
Yeah.
door, so they're one on either side.
So
so it doesn't mention the National Register, so
Well, there is a National Register
there's a sign
listing
there. Yeah,
that says
That
this
is
property
on-
has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
paid for by CPA.
It does not, but
it does not, but I don't know that I'd want to put another sign on
Right.
the building.
Yeah.
So we can probably close that out, start the process on closing those out.
that would be my opinion.
Yeah. You have a different opinion, Freddie?
It would be nice if it, maybe even inside somewhere, there was a little plaque mentioning that you paid for the, you don't need to.
Flag School Grant, you're going to talk to historical on that. Library was Claire. Memorial Park is Kristen, and let's see, the society, we need to look into those because it's a flag, and that we're not in possession, so we'll just put those ones off for now. And then golf course is Ellen. So if we could just get some agreement on signage, then we can get costs and, yeah, we can start moving it along, and then at our next meeting, when we come back with any thoughts from, the applicants, then we'll talk about how we want to install it and who we could maybe get to install it, and,
My only comment is on the golf course. If we think that first, it did pass, so if we think it's going to pass again, it will need a sign. Do we want to make the language on that more general, or have one sign for all three projects? Or do we want to wait on doing the sign on that until we figure out what's happening?
So there's
Yeah, we can't
multiple,
close that
more than
one
3
anyway.
projects.
yeah, there's a
Oh,
lot
we
of
can't.
projects there.
Purchase and land purchase is one of them, so.
No.
Nope, it was the preservation restriction, conservation restriction. That was one. Then you had the parking lot, you had the tees.
Did we do the parking lot?
We did the parking lot. Yeah, it was 500 and, hold on.
Well, I'm looking at the two on Ellen's screen right now, right? Golf course land purchase and conservation restriction, and golf course restoration.
Shouldn't say land purchase, because we didn't buy them.
That's what,
Yeah,
But I just want to note that, if there's an active golf course,
This would
maybe,
be invasive species
Maybe we won't.
program, there's the.
I mean, I think, yeah,
National-
golf course refurbishment and conservation restriction,
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay.
covers all of the things.
And Ellen, that one's, you can think about how you want to, you know, and with the golf course, what your verbiage that you want to bring back to us is too.
No, but sorry, but the irrigation is not covered by that, and if we expect the irrigation, it did pass town meeting once, it would require a sign. Do we want to wait to
Is that part of
say,
refurbishment?
That part of refurbishment, maybe?
okay, just either make it more general language or,
Okay.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Mr. Litt?
Yeah, I've been listening to this and following it. It seems like it's really easy to make this complicated. So I have an alternative approach to this that you might want to consider. And I outlined it when I started the form, but I'll go through it here quickly. My take is the simplest way to deal with this is to have a tasteful, simple, generic sign that says, you know, funded by the CPA funding. On the sign, put a URL and a QR code that goes to the town website, and there you can put as much historical information as you like, as many photos as you like, how much it cost, you know, who you credit for the architectural design, anything you want, and you can even update it. And my thought was, gee, maybe you do 3 different sizes, you know, one for the side of a building, one for, you know, a statue or memorial, and one that's big enough you can see from a car, right? And right now, today, you order a dozen of each. And the URL points to project 101, 102, 103, whatever. And then as the projects come in, you have them mounted, you update the web page, you know, so that it has all the information that you want. And, you know, I'm not sure about the exact legalities, but conceptually, you buy the 36 or 50 or whatever signs out of administrative money and then build a project for it when it gets installed. That way you don't have to wait for the signs. They all look the same. There's some consistent thing you look for when it's CPA funding. And you don't spend a lot of time fussing over, you know, how do I make it, you know, be perfectly compatible with this particular project, or what happens when you add something to it. Because, you know, in the case that Grant was talking about for the golf course, you know, it's the golf course project, and when you add something to it, you update the website, the sign's there. So, you know, I'm thinking that you can make use of technology and not, I mean, you sacrifice a little bit of you know, per project artistic contribution, but you get something done, and you get consistency, and you get the ability to update as things evolve without going and changing signs. So that's my contribution to trying to do something that's a little bit.
No, I appreciate that, Tim. The thing is, going forward, these are old projects. Once these are done and we put a process in place going forward, me personally, and this is just me, very few people are going to go to a QR code on a sign and look to see what was funded. I think these are taxpayer dollars. Some of these projects were a lot of money initially, so I think signs that are a little more dedicated to each project, this is just me, Tim. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think once we get through all of these old ones going forward, it's going to be an easier process because we know what we're looking for. We'll have a standard sign done. And I understand what you're saying, but we also can't take it out of admin. It's got to come out of it's part of the cost of the project. So, again, those are my 2 cents. We'll just kind of go down the line.
From a recreation perspective, and just my own opinion, we don't want cell phones out. When you're in recreation, the last thing I want you to do is be thinking about your cell phone, you know, doing a QR code, which, let's admit, a lot of people still, even though a lot of people are tech savvy, a lot of people aren't, like, a lot of people don't use QR codes. And then somebody has to maintain that. And we all know how good we're at maintaining websites
They
around
lost
here.
all their information on their webpage.
So, but, I will say we put a lot of thought into this for a reason, and I think if you listen to those conversations, the thoughtfulness, I think, will come through in those signs. I think we're there, right? We're at the finish line. I would hate to change direction now, and then we do have a template going forward. But when Grant just read that sign to me, I was like, oh yeah, that's why we're doing it. That was that's a nice, I like that. There's a bit of a history there to know back in 2010, the town came together and voted to, right away, I love that. And I don't think we want to lose that.
Grant?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's a valid concern about having multiple projects at one site.
Yep.
I've had the concern about avoiding sign pollution, that kind of thing, so I think that is valid and something that we'll have to deal with. I'll just note that Historical Commission does a lot of signage. We have the Historic House Sign Program, and which is typically, I don't know, a dozen a year or something like that, and essentially at every meeting we hammer out the language of a new sign, and we have to, in that case, we have to determine what name should be on the house, that kind of thing. It takes time, but I think as you rightfully noted, Lisa, once we're caught up, we're only going to have a few projects a year. Some may require or they'll all require signage. Some might already have signage. So I don't think it will be that much of a heavy lift going forward. But I think I share, trying to kind of have language that can apply to multiple projects may be a concern going forward. That I don't know the answer to that. But personally, I like the more personalized sign, the way it reads.
Okay, thank you. Ellen?
Yeah, so I appreciate this suggestion, and I think it's always nice to think about other ways of doing things, so thank you. Yeah, I think I tend to agree that it's a big hurdle because we're figuring out this process right now, and going forward, not only will we have the design, but I think we put on the application, what's your one-line description of this project that's going to go on your sign? Where should that sign go? And then this is something that's happening throughout the course of the project and isn't holding up, closing out things at the end. But we have all this information at the beginning, where it's going to be mounted, who's responsible for that. And kind of once we get into that flow, I think it'll be a lot easier. We just kind of have to figure out these growing pains of this. So.
I think that's a great point, Ellen. I think it's something that we should add to the application, the new applications that come out in August. I think that's a great point. And, yeah, I think, and again, Tim, it's not taking away from anything you said. It's just, again, different committees, committee 5 years from now may feel differently about it, but I just think we've worked hard to put the steps in place and to give a lot of thought to the projects themselves. So let me go to Claire quick. Claire, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I did. It kind of tags along with what Tim was saying. And I just thought about it now because I've seen them. Who did the signs for the Garfield house? It's really it's really a nice kind of picture story that they have now. Granted, that particular project is a little bit different, but I can take, because of where I live, I can just go and walk over it, and I can take pictures. Somebody put up a whole bunch of signs on the other side of the water there, and it kind of tells the story. I don't know if there's QR codes there, but there's something that you can reference. It was a long time ago when I saw it, and then I just kind of forgot about it. Is anybody else familiar with it?
I think it was a Boy Scout project, Claire, because they did.
It's nothing to do with
okay.
CPA.
I have seen it, Claire. I don't think I've seen it in detail, but I think I know what you're referencing.
Yeah.
Like near the bridge?
Yeah, it's really a nice job. I'll
it's on
take
the
some
Parkerville
pictures.
side, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the Parkerville side.
Like on Main Street over by Parkerville? Is that what?
Deerfoot.
So that
Oh, is it?
was
Okay.
like a Eagle Scout type project? and not connected at all with CPA funding. Nice project, but nothing to do with CPA.
Well, the reason that I brought it up was because I personally like, particularly for the bigger projects, I like Tim's idea. I think it's novel, but whatever. Everybody's going to have different opinions.
Okay.
I'll just add that,
Yep.
that the Hopkinton sign that I took the picture of, I found it to be effective. It was generic. It was tasteful. And the only thing it was missing was a link to get more information because it felt too generic. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
What you want to do.
Thank you, Tim, appreciate it. All right, so we'll have some homework for having some conversations before our next meeting. Ellen, did you have anything else on the signs?
So just process-wise, and maybe this is something to discuss at the next meeting, if we do come up with a list of 5 that we can order,
Yep.
how do we do that in an efficient way if they all need to be paid from different accounts?
Go ahead.
So if you have a company that you can order and they send you an invoice, you get an individual invoice for every sign. If we are paying them out of multiple accounts, the CPC could, I'm just thinking this through and I can check in with the coalition, you could, if the account, if the project was from a town entity, all of the projects, so like if it was, just pretend it was the Open Space Preservation Commission and the Golf Course Committee at the golf course, and, recreation at the golf course, just pretend there were 3 different groups, 3 different projects. I think each one signs off on it, and you just take it out of one account because all the money's going back, because it's not, you don't have to divvy it up by 3 to 3 different accounts. The only, I think that's easy enough, and then all of the accounts that aren't, you take the funds out of, it all, just pretend, okay,
It all comes back to the town anyway.
pretend you have a total of $7,000 out in multiple accounts, and the signs come to 1,000. It doesn't matter which account you take it back, you're going to return 6,000 back to the fund, and when you return funds, the advice I've gotten from the coalition is you return it to the least restrictive. In the past, we thought if 20% of the project was from the open space reserve and 20% was from recreation, you'd had to put it back. You don't do that. You put it to the, if it all came from open space, it all goes back to open space, but if it's multiple accounts. So I don't think there's a real problem there.
So from an accounting standpoint, though, I would think if each sign is listed individually on an invoice, which you could certainly ask them to do, accounting could just tag each of the individual accounts, Freddie, and hit each, it could be 15 accounts and it come down to this, to $1 amount. They should be able to do that. I mean, I did that in my accounting life. I would get an invoice for 15 different things and it would hit 10 different accounts.
So I process the payments. That's how you've always done it. When you get the invoices, I write them up, but I'm just saying you don't need, if it's one invoice for one sign for 3 projects, you don't need to divvy it up between the 3 projects.
But for an accounting standpoint, I think you have to. I think you want to check with Carla on that.
I can check with her, but
If you've got a sign.
One of the things that they talked about at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, and Lisa, you probably remember this, is that's a Carla thing. We shouldn't really even bother with that because she can figure that out. She knows what to do.
Well, on the sign-off that we do, though, Claire, again, I think we just talked to Carla and ask her how she wants us to do it, Freddie. I think she's going to want to take, if there's, say there's $10,000 in the fire account and the sign's $500, it should come out of that account.
it would.
Exactly. And that's why she did
Sorry.
that sheet that we
You
looked at
confused me then.
earlier that has all
I'm
the
talking-
account numbers listed on there.
I'm talking about, you're saying you're going to use one sign at the golf course.
So you're talking on a multiple project, okay, I thought you were talking
No.
about
It's no.
multiple
no.
individual projects, not multiple for one location.
So the
all right.
signs are no different than any project
I get it.
expense. You get the invoices for the signs. You submit them to me,
Yep.
and I'll pay them from the proper account. However, then when we go back, and I might have confused you also about, then when we close out the projects, the funds go back.
No, that's fine. I was fine with that.
So if you had multiple, the thing is, you have 3 different entities that worked on the golf course projects, and you have one sign. To me, it doesn't matter which account you
Agreed.
pull it from, and I can figure that out by looking at the dollar amount of the sign, and then you guys just sign off on it.
So if it's multiple projects on one site, it doesn't matter what it comes out of. I get that.
As long as there's funding there.
But I didn't think that's what you said, so that's fine. I take that.
And
what I said.
otherwise, it's no big deal. You get the signs, they go against the account
Yep,
that's left there, and then you return the rest of the
it.
money and sign it off, and then you're done.
okay. Ellen, sorry, I don't know if that answered the question that you had.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
In addition to
Sure.
maybe, I guess, approving some signs next time, should we also look at the temporary signs and order some of those?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, I think that's a great idea, Grant.
And Ellen, I personally wasn't in contact with Franklin Bronze or Sinorama, but I can try to get their contact details.
That would be great.
For both of those.
That would be
I think we were happy.
That would be great.
We're definitely happy with both of them, so, yeah.
Okay,
And just
Thank you.
follow up on the trails, that we want to know what kind of post it's
Yeah.
going on, and are they ordering it, or are you having someone install it as part of the ordering the signs? That wasn't clear. You're having the DPW install the signs,
we were going
maybe?
to talk about installation at the next meeting.
But I think that's a good point. I believe you order especially for the bronze ones, you order the pole with the sign, so you would need to know that.
And with the bigger signs for the trails, and I don't think, for some reason, Kat thought there was an urgency, but I don't see that there is, that, not that beyond any urgency, that she was thinking about returning the funds so that she can then use them again, but that's not what we're doing here. We'll close out the account, but just thinking of what kind of footings you want for those other types of signs.
I think Kat's going to be the best person to ask about that, right?
No?
No?
You are designing a sign to have a look. You could put it on a no parking sign metal post and have a pretty sign. You want to be sure that the look of the whole sign is what this committee wants.
For the
No, I'm not talking the bronze, this is,
No, I'm saying, but just in historical's experience, for the bronze, we've typically done, like, if you look at the National Register signs, it's like a black, I don't know what metal it is, but a black metal painted with the bronze sign, which I think looks nice. For the PVC ones, we do it directly on, well, we don't install those, but the owners install them directly on their house, so those don't have poles. So I don't know the answer to
this is going to be sitting in the woods.
to what looks good on a PVC for
Well, I think
that.
each installation depends on the sign and where the sign's going to be. So,
That's just kind of where I thought Kat might have some.
I'm saying, does the committee want a design style or material?
but do we need to decide that tonight? is my
No, I'm
question.
just saying the question was put to me, and I'm just repeating it.
Okay.
She wanted to know right away, and I don't think it's a right-away response right now. So I'll tell her the next meeting.
Yeah.
I told her I would get back to her after this meeting, sorry.
No, I misunderstood, sorry.
I wasn't clear.
Okay. No chairs report, let's do approval of minutes. Grant, could you pull up the November 19th? Ellen has put her edits in. Thank you.
Yep.
And we'll go down the line. Did you have any other edits, Kristen?
I'm just pulling up real quick.
Okay. Want me to come back?
So
If you can
on,
come back to me.
Okay. Go ahead, Claire.
on that one, what I had was, it took me a minute to figure this out. the agenda starts at 6:30, and but the minutes has it starting at 7 o'clock. But then I listened to the recording, and it actually had you calling the meeting to order at, this is line 11
Yeah,
in the minutes. It had you calling the meeting to order at 6:38.
okay. We'll change both, that's fine. So it's 6:30 for the time. Thank you, Claire, for catching that. And then we'll change the CPC line 11 to call it to order at 6:38. Okay. Did you have anything else, Claire?
Not for that date.
Great, thank you,
I have
Kristen.
nothing.
Okay,
Mhm.
Grant? Okay, Ellen did hers, and I had none as well. So, do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 19th, 2025?
moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Kristen seconding, great. Claire, and then roll call vote. Kristen?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
And Lisa, yes. Okay, thank you. Can we bring up December 3rd? And thank you to Sue for catching us up on these two old sets that were sitting out there. All right. Oh, okay. Somebody did put in I went and looked up the name of the person too, on that line, so that's great. And Grant, can you go down to line 99? She wasn't sure of the name of the church in town. I just want to make sure we put in Saint, right there. We just need to, okay, so on line 99, add in St. Mark's. Is it an Episcopal church? Or just St. Mark's Church?
I can look it up real quick.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's Episcopal, but I think on the, everybody always just refers to it as St. Mark's Church.
Sorry.
We'll just do St. Mark's Church.
St. Mark's Episcopal
It is.
Church.
Episcopal Church. Okay, so we can just add that in. And then, Kristen, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, Grant, did you have anything else?
Nope.
Claire, did you have anything else?
Yeah, you go up to line, well, let's start at line 90.
Okay,
It talks about a discussion about temporary signs and where to place them and this and that. That's fine. And then starting in line 92, it says, Ms. Gillespie spoke about the bond for the project and suggested a kiosk as well as a separate CPC. I think I went back and looked at it. Freddie, were you talking about the Halloran property there?
it was line 92. It was during the Peninsula Trail.
Because
I think those are like two different topics.
well, that's
Yeah.
exactly it, but it doesn't identify
Yeah.
what the second topic is.
Yeah, no, I know, you're right about that.
This would be about on the Peninsula Trail where they often put in kiosk,
I
right?
think it's just where she says she also spoke about access to trails. I think that's the overlap, because we kind of went off and talked about that property that we own, that open space has over off 85, but we can't get access to it. So I'm just wondering, is that what you're thinking? Did we like commingle two topics there?
Well,
So,
phase one and two deals with the Peninsula Trail, correct? Okay. But then the next sentence just spoke about the bond for the project and suggested a kiosk as well. So that kind of like floated in there from, I don't know
sorry,
where.
what bond?
Well, exactly, I think.
There's
that's
no
what
bond
she's-
for those
I think
projects.
that's what she's saying, like that section seems like maybe we went off.
We went on,
On
yeah,
a
because the
tangent.
next one talks about
Can I-
signage for Mooney.
Can I propose cutting lines 92 to 94?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, is that good, Claire? Cutting lines 92 to 94?
Okay, it's fine with me.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Whatever.
okay. Okay.
And then the other one, but that's back at the beginning, it's just kind of a little thing, but it's online. Grant, it's on line 14.
Yep.
So what it says is, commented that most questions seem to be answered and asked the board to look closely, so votes could be taken at the next meeting. We're actually a committee, not a board. I think it's just misleading to use board.
Good catch.
Yep.
All right, line 14, add board. Okay, that's great. And Ellen, I'm assuming you have nothing other than the edits you did?
Yep, nothing else.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 3rd, 2025
So
as
moved.
amended? Thank you.
Second.
Claire, motion, Grant seconded, thank you. All in, roll call vote. Oh my God, it's getting late. Kristen?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
And Lisa, yes. Okay, great. And then the next one is from February 19th of 2026. I think on line 79, we just leave it as it is. It was hard. I did go back and look, and it was kind of hard to hear. So I think we just leave that as Ellen made the motion.
What line is that?
Line 79, I'm sorry. She highlighted in red.
Oh,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it was Ellen, but it was hard to tell because everybody kind of said it at the same time. We're kind of done. So,
I'm fine with that. Just
okay.
take it out.
and did you have anything else, Kristen?
No.
Grant?
No.
Okay. Claire?
All set on those.
Thank you. And Ellen, I'm assuming you're all set as well with the changes you made?
Yep, all set.
Again, really great job.
Yeah.
in the Minutes.
Absolutely. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 19th, 2026 as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Claire.
Second.
Kristen, second.
Kristen seconded. Okay. Roll call. Kristen?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
And Lisa, yes. Okay. Last thing is, we need to set a meeting for May. So if everyone could pull up your calendars. We've got lots of notes to give to people.
Yep.
So, I don't even have May on my calendar yet. Okay. So, now,
So would we want late May? If
I'm thinking
people are-
mid
if we're
to,
giving people until mid-May,
yeah,
and then we'll meet the week after or something?
yeah, like maybe the 21st. When is prom? Isn't it in May typically?
I should know this.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay,
But it would be a Friday anyway, so.
okay.
I just, if possible, if we could avoid a Tuesday and Thursday, that'd be great. But if it can't be avoided, then that's fine too.
Okay, that week, can everybody do a Wednesday the 20th?
That works.
Okay, Kristen, does that
Yep.
work?
Yes.
Okay, Ellen, does that work?
I think so. Let me just double check.
And Freddie, does that work? Okay.
If we can keep it late to 7 o'clock again.
Yep. 27 PM, and we will book this room as well. We'll wait for Ellen.
That should be fine.
Okay, and if we need. 7 PM. If we need to adjust it, we can. That gives, we have plenty of time at this point. Oh, I skipped the month of April, but that's okay. We can.
We have town meeting.
Yeah, there's a lot. Town meeting, I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
So we'll go to May. Gives
I mean, I
everybody
think we've got a lot of
extra time.
the homework we need to do,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of time to get extra
Yeah.
stuff done. So, okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Kristen. Second?
Second.
Okay, Claire, second. Thank you. Roll call
Yep.
vote. Kristen?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
And Lisa, yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
We got
Night
lots on. Have a
all.
great night.